Hello, everybody. Eyal Levi here, and I am going to unbox Secrets by State Champs. This was on Nail the Mix all the way back in October of 2016, and it was mixed by none other than the great Kyle Black. And I remember this session as being just a powerhouse. Kyle is such a great mixer. This is a phenomenal nail the mix to watch, especially because he's a bit of a minimalist. And for those of you who think you need a million plugins and a million pieces of hardware to make something sound huge, well, this session is for you. You can get a lot done with a little. Anyways, let's get into it. As you can see, we have the tracks here, lots of drums, some samples, it looks like. Bass, DI, and an amp, rhythm guitars, all kinds of layered guitars. And this song is big on the layering and the arrangement. So this is a good song for you to work on balancing multiple interesting things going on at the same time while not overshadowing what's really important, like the lead vocal. We've got, customary 808s and stuff. Let's just play one solo. Well, yeah, just because it's vindicating. Organs, shakers, tambourines. Can't have a good chorus without a good tambourine. And a decent amount of vocals, leads, doubles, alt vocals, backing vocals, lower vocals, filtered vocals, harmony vocals. Yeah, we've got a lot, all right? There's a lot of stuff here. There's a lot to dig your teeth into. So foremost, I'm going to show you the mixer. As you can see, no plugins, just very little leveling, just, so we can get right into it. And I'll just press play so you can hear where it's at, just raw. Okay, when I hear that, I get immediately happy because that means the producer and the band did their job, and now this is ready to mix. It sounds like a song. It's already got some power to it even. It sounds good. Now as a mixer, it's your job to balance it out and give power where power is lacking and take it away where it's a little overboard. So let's start with these drums. Let's hear what we've got. We've got quite a few drums, and we'll explore them. I'm going to start by just playing all of them. That just sounds really good. And I was just sitting there listening because I think those fills are so clever. They're nothing fancy, but the way that it goes back and forth between the parts with those short fills, it sets up the next part very, very nicely. Like, for instance, when we have this one part where I believe it's riding on the crashes and then it switches to hi-hat dominant, then ride dominant, then hi-hat. Check out the little fills that transition them. I like this style of drumming a lot. You can tell he's a really good drummer, but he's not overplaying. It's just the right amount of fills, just the right amount of fanciness, but hit really, really hard and with a lot of intent behind it. Like the fills and the beats, they work together and they're all taking us someplace forward. This is good playing, good drum writing. All right, let's break it down a little bit though. So we've got kick in and out and a kick sample. Let's hear the kick in. It's a good sounding kick in. Like I said, he's a good drummer. Let's hear the out. And I don't know if this is like a sub kick or a U87 or what, but let's hear the outer mic. Now, interestingly enough, there is a kick sample, at least at this level. When I put it in, it's straight up just reinforcement. It doesn't need to be in there. Okay, so listen without the sample. With. It's just reinforcement. You could get away with no sample there. I'm going to add the overheads just to highlight that point a little more. We've got overheads on the hat side, ride side. It's ever so subtle. Basically, that sample just gives it a little bit more weight. And that's all you need sometimes. When you add samples, it's not always supposed to be this overbearing thing where it's like 90% sample, 10% kick. When they say sample reinforcement, sometimes what's meant is 90% real drum, 10% sample. Just a little bit of reinforcement. And goes a long way, especially when you start adding layers and layers of other instruments. But this could be fine without the sample too. All right, so we've got a snare top and bottom. Let's just hear that snare top. Hit hard, a little bit of bleed, but we know how to deal with that. Let me add the overheads in these some of these rooms in. As you can tell, that snare sound really comes to life when you add the overheads in the rooms. Here, let me play it with just direct mics. Yeah, it's a ringy snare. Cool. I mean, I like it, but cool, whatever. But now you add in the rooms and the overheads. Yeah, and you got snare. Lots of toms in this song. Let's check out the toms. Remember, just like snare, The direct mic is not the full story when it comes to tom sounds. Though these already sound pretty good. And, you know, he was nice enough to cut them for us. But that alone is not enough, you know, for monster tom sound. Let's throw in the overheads in these rooms. Makes a big difference, doesn't it? Let's add some more rooms even. We've got quite a few rooms. By the way, let me just say, just because there's a lot of rooms, it does not mean that you have to use them all. Sometimes producers will record lots of rooms because, hey, we can. So you start adding all that in, and suddenly we have the makings of a very big tom sound. Nice. All right. Obviously, it looks like we have hat mic and ride mic already cut for us. Very generous. That's a good sounding hat, too. All right, I don't know what this ride sample is all about, so we're going to check it out. Ah, okay, to get the perfect bell. Easier said than done. I see. It's because he wanted the bell sound to continue, you know, to have its natural decay, while then also playing a heavy part on the ride. Those two are not physically possible on the same cymbal. So he overdubbed the bell dinging and decaying naturally while then playing the part on the ride as an overdub. Got to do what you got to do. See what else we got. So, this mono room and the far mono room. If you can't crunch and distort these into something beautiful, let me just say, you need to learn how. This is just being handed to you on a platter. Your 1176 plugins are begging you. They're salivating. Please, please, feed them these tracks. Oh, and that's cool right there. That's good mono mic supplement. That can go real well. That's for the snare. See what I mean? I'm gonna throw in the overheads, and then we're gonna take this mono mic supplement in and out. It just adds solidity. I don't know what the word is. It just makes it so much more solid. That's great. That's very great. And we got snare sample done it. What is that? Okay, in case you needed it, a snare sample. Again, so you notice when I put these samples in, all it does is add a little bit more weight to the snare, a little bit more reinforcement. It's not replacement. And shit, man, you can remove all these samples you want, and just the natural drums as are can give you a great mix. These are just there to help you with that power and weight, if that's what you're going for. And we've got some reverse cymbals and stuff. You know, what's life got to do without a reverse cymbal, of course. My keyboard is being an asshole. All right. All right, let you hear the drums all together again one last time before we keep going. And then I'm going to mute and unmute at times these supplements and these samples. And you tell me if you think that they're really overbearing or if they're doing what, in my opinion, is true reinforcement, which is just adding that extra 10% of oomph. You know, you just need that stumph in your oomph. See what I mean? Just a little bit more power. All right, let's move on to the bass. We've got the bass amp and the bass DI. We'll start with the DI because that's the kind of guy I am. Sounds like a slightly distorted bass DI, tightly played. Almost sounds like a bass line you would hear in a pop punk song. Here's the amp. You know, they don't sound terribly different. There is nothing like a rhythm section in heavy music, you know, whether it's pop punk or death metal or whatever, under the umbrella of heavy rock. There's nothing like a rhythm section where the bass player understands what his function is. That's it right there. That's what a bass player is supposed to do. Just holds it down and also kind of gives it some character. It gives it a little bit of that bounce. And you'll hear when the guitars come in a moment, like holding it down that way and those starts and stops and just the simplicity of that bass line is what helps this have its feel. All right, can I take a second to say that those guitars sound really fucking good? Damn. All right, let's what we got going on here? That's like the perfect hard rock tone for this kind of stuff. It's got like, it's smooth, but it's heavy. It's creamy. I don't know what the word is, but it's just, but it's big, but it's not spiky. It just, raw. and it's clear. You know exactly what's going on. The fact that the bass is simple in directing the roots really helps that come out. Sorry, guys, the computer decided to tell me to stop, but I'm telling the computer that I'm going to win. I'm winning this battle. You want to fight me? You're fighting an army. And a word of advice to people who like to add a ton of layers or, think that this style of mixing is overly simplistic. If you go to the basics of your arrangement, the basics of the mix, the meat and potato, the drums, bass, rhythm guitars, this stuff that we're listening to, if it doesn't sound like that, I don't mean exactly like this mix, but like that, to where it's powerful, everything has its space, it's heavy, and it holds its own. If your rhythm sections don't have that, adding a bunch of shit to them is not going to help. You're going to be building ear candy on a faulty foundation, which will crumble. You want a good, strong foundation like in this mix. Great low end, great rhythm section, great tones, and this is asking for tracks to be put on top of it, but it holds its own without them. And as I say, playing that tight, like parts like this, that's all in the right hand. You can't just do that. You need to be it takes a better guitar player than you may think to actually be able to pull that off with that kind of power. And just like I issued during the Amur channel, the open string challenge, which nobody took me up on. People took me up on the drum programming one, but nobody took me up on the open string, make your guitar sound like hell on earth. No one took me up on it because it's that hard. I challenge you guys to play these riffs right here, send it to me in my inbox on Facebook, and I want to hear you play these, one guitar per side, this simple riff, just dun 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 dun, and I want you to have this kind of power and this kind of groove to it. I want to hear you do it. If you think it's so fucking easy, I want to hear you do it, because this right here, my friends, this right here, this is what makes a live band sound better than the other bands. Is the ability to play the meat and potatoes parts of this stuff really well and really convincing. And believe it or not, it's a lot harder than you might think. I'm going to take a guess and say that's the chorus. Maybe because it says chorus ARP guitar. All right. In addition to those really cool and tight rhythm guitars, let's see what the chorus ARP guitars are all about. All right, so we've got 3 independent guitar lines going on over this chorus. Not to mention whatever we might unveil later, that's happening down here and stuff. But so we've got the rhythm line, the bass and the guitar are playing. We've got this arpeggiated line. Which in and of itself is really cool. But like Kyle Black said during this Nail the Mix, he said, just because it's there doesn't mean you need to hear it like a lead instrument. Some of this stuff is just there for texture. Take his word for it. So we've got that arpeggio guitar, and then we've got these 3, which are another line. Back to the good guitar playing. That takes good guitar playing. And let's just see what else is going on instrumentally during this chorus. Hell yeah. Tambourine. All right, so musically, without the rhythm guitars, all right, let's add the rhythm guitars and the bass and drums. What a lush arrangement. That sounds like a chorus. That's arranged like a chorus. But it's so good that you could just listen to it like that and not even bother with the vocals. So, hey, let's bring in the vocals. See what's going on. We've got a lead.
I've got more secrets than...
And a double.
I've got more secrets than you'll ever know.
And hey, word of advice, when you see lead vocal and vocal double, and they're the exact same thing, same pitch, one is supposed to be a lot quieter than the other. Then we've got a harmony.
I've got more secrets than you'll ever know. Another year and you won't let it go. Too many times I told myself to hold on, but it's too late for fun. I've got more secrets than you'll ever know. Another year and you won't let it go. Too many times I told myself to hold on, but it's too late for me. Now I'm as good as gone. Funny how we go way back.
As you can see, you have choices to make because you have so many different parts that could be louder than others. But ultimately, what you want is to bring those vocals out and to keep it just sounding huge and rocking and awesome without getting too carried off with the side, with the side details. Because, if you get carried away with the side details like this octave thing, it could almost sound melancholy. Or if you go with this arpeggiated guitar, it's nice and all, but it's not making a definitive statement, right? It's more just hanging there. That could easily be the intro of a song, played on an acoustic guitar with one vocal. There's many ways you could go about it. When you put it all together, it makes this big epic chorus. But it's important to remember what it is about the chorus that makes it the chorus, and what it is that makes it epic. So listen to the chorus.
I've got more secrets than you'll ever know. Another year and you won't let it go. Too many times I told myself to hold on,
Mixing is all about choices. All right, let's see what some of these effects guitars are. Main. Okay, for the intro. Cool. And a telly lead and a slide. There's some cool layering stuff going on. A feedback guitar, verse leads. Let's see what these are. Very well arranged stuff. Let's see what's going on here in the bridge. This is cool. And again, so you've got a lot of stuff going on in this mellow part. Just with the vocals alone, you've got these guys, these harmonies, and it seems like a whole counter melody. Let's see.
It turns out I don't go down that easily. You'll never really know what this means to me. And no, it wasn't ever too much to hold, but you stole your own self-control. Turns out I don't go down that easily. You'll never really know what this means to me. And no, it wasn't ever too much to hold, so just know. Turns out I don't go down that easily. You'll never really know what this means to me. And no, it wasn't ever too much to hold, but you stole your own self-control. Turns out I don't go down that easily. You'll never really know what this means to me. And no, it wasn't ever too much self-control.
Yeah, and your goal is to not let that become a mess. So, this song is all about balancing the right elements, giving them the forefront while using all these other tasty textural elements to just make the song interesting, all the while keeping what's important front and center, which is obviously the lead vocal and those awesome riffs and that forward momentum. But if that's all you did, you would lose some of the stuff that gives it its character, like, these cool lead guitars, like the organ, like some of these cool vocal harmonies. So this is quite a delicate balancing act. And what's cool about it is you have really badass played, pounded natural drums to work with. This is a greatly recorded song. This should be a pleasure to mix. If you liked what you saw here, just click the button below to purchase, what was it, November 2016. Yeah, November 2016. It was actually October 2016, Nail the Mix, with Kyle Black and State Champs. This was an oldie but a goldie. I loved this session. This has been Eyal Levi with URM Academy, Nail the Mix, and happy mixing.